In order to gain a better perspective on climate events that affect my company's work, I took a look at hurricanes and storm events. Working in drainage and also living in the Houston area, these weather events have great impact on my professional and personal life. I wanted to track storm events in relation to our company projects and future opportunities in the area. As I work in hydraulics and hydrology, it's important to understand how water moves through area watersheds and prepare possible solutions to flood problems. So when the climate events and projects application opens, the map shows, well, it looks kind of busy. And so it's helpful to look over here at the legend that opens with the application. And you can see that my company offices are here in black. And there's recent hurricanes that are kind of these orange dots. And then there's kind of this messy, stringy stuff. And those are the hurricane tracks from 1842 to 2020 to present. And so they kind of give us a look at where hurricanes have come through in the past and what's going on now. The other really helpful thing to look at on the map is up here at the toolbar. The legend comes first and then the layers. And so because this map is so busy and maybe a little bit confusing, I think it's really helpful to be able to take some of the layers off and just look at them individually. So the first layer is the recent hurricanes, these orange dots. So I'm just going to take off the historical hurricane tracks so that we can see these a little bit better. So it's easy to zoom around the map and scroll in. Each of these recent hurricane tracks have pop-ups. So when you pop up, click on a portion of the track, it will give you some more information about it. The storm name, the Saffir-Simpson scale number, so you can see what kind of a hurricane it's rated, how big of a storm it is, and then it also gives you the dates and times. And then you can continue to click along that track and kind of see how the storm progresses and where it goes. So luckily right now, a lot of these recent hurricanes, and this is updated through the National Hurricane Center and Joint Typhoon Warning Center. And they keep a current database, and this layer is updated every 15 minutes. So it's a good layer to explore further with different filters and different analytical tools. So luckily right now, all of our offices are over here in the Texas region, and there's no recent storm activity over here for us. But it's not the hurricane season yet. That usually comes in late summer and fall. And so this is an important layer for my company to be aware of and keep track of as we move into our hurricane season later in the year. Okay, so that layer as well can be taken off over here on the layer list, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn back on the historical hurricane tracks. The historical hurricane tracks layer I found on the Living Atlas, as well as the recent hurricane. Those both came from the Living Atlas. And these tracks also come with pop-ups. So you can click kind of anywhere, and at this level of zoom, you can't really tell which one you're clicking on, but if you wanted to scroll in, you could find out the storm Lorenzo here. And it includes like the storm ID and the date of that storm. So it gives you a little bit more information. I'm just going to pull over here closer to our offices. And you can kind of see some of the storms that have come through the Texas area. And I think this is an important layer of the map because it tells us how these storms are affecting our hydrology projects. The these layers, as you can see, they are really colorful, and so it's helpful to take a closer look at the layer itself and notice that these lines are made with the sapphire scale, which describes the wind intensity. And so a category 5 is this pink color, all the way down to just a light blue color. That's a tropical depression. You can see the difference there. So as I'm looking at this map, I have plotted, again, our offices. I'm in the Houston office here. And you can see our different projects. So these little storm clouds are projects that we have done recently within the past 5 years, and how they are being affected by these storms that come through our area recently, you know, as far as just in the past storm season, all the way back to 1842. And I think that's a really helpful layer for our company, because we can say, okay, here's where we have done projects, but here are these regular storms that come through. Let's go look in these areas and see how they're affected, and see what project opportunities we might have, because this is an area that floods. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take that layer off so we can see a little bit more closely the layers that are left, which are the office locations. So we have an office up in Dallas, we have one in Fort Worth, we have one in Austin, and then here in Houston. And then the project locations are these little storm cloud symbols that I've included. I have 2 other layers on this map as well, and they are layers that I've downloaded from FEMA, which include floodplains. So I did those for the Houston area because I wanted to see more specifically what's going on in our area and how it's affecting our projects. And so as you take a closer look, you can see the floodplains in yellow, and then the flood hazard is described in these colors that are listed here below in the layer. So you see the blue is this floodway. We can zoom in a little bit more as that layer starts to fill in. But it allows us again to take a close look at how water is moving in the area and how it's affecting our projects. So you can see a lot of area here is floodway, where our projects are closely located there. And then we have some projects over here. So again, this is the FEMA level that helps us to better understand where water's moving in the Houston area. And I have some projects that are outside of that. And so those would be another FEMA panel that I'd want to pull in. Since we do have projects over here in Needville, we have one over here closer to Chambers County. So those are a couple more layers that I might look at pulling in so that I can get even more understanding of how the water's moving in this area. So that's the layer list. The other thing that you can do with this web application is print. So if I wanted to continue to build the application with more FEMA tiles and print it off and share that with the company, I could do that with the print function here. You can also search. So if I was looking, I wanted to look at how projects are going in the Dallas area, I could just zoom right there and find out where the Dallas office is. If you click on that office, it gives you the direction of the office and a little bit more information. There's the Fort Worth office. It includes a picture of the office itself. And then you can zoom to that area. So it also is helpful in kind of understanding where projects are that are happening currently in relation to the offices that we own around the state. The other function, I also just included some quick information. This is just project locations, and it gives you the name, so it's a quick look at what projects are going on. And then here below is just kind of tallying up these influential storms as they come. You can also get some an informational summary on the historical hurricane tracks. Takes a minute to load. But it allows you to further analyze these storms, and so it can give you this list of names, and let's say there was one in particular that I wanted to look at. Let's see. I'm trying to look for a familiar one that maybe more people would know of. Hurricane Rita was passed through here just a few years ago. And so you can see the dates that the hurricane passed, and then that Sapphire scale where you're looking and seeing the intensity of the storm and how long it lasted. So that this tool gives you some quick information that you could pull. And then finally, there's the filter button where you can just research different years. So if you wanted to go back to 1842 and see which hurricanes exceeded, we'll say, 40 knots, we can then go ahead and filter that whole map to find out which hurricanes exceeded that, and apparently there were none. So, oh, maybe I was going too fast. Sometimes it takes a minute to load. So let's try that again. We'll try 1852. Again, I made this map using the Living Atlas for a few of those layers. FEMA provided great information on watersheds, and then my own data that I collected for our projects and our offices. So again, here's how this filter works when you want to go and maybe do some research on previous hurricanes, and you can see, oh, you know, on that year, these hurricane tracks were ones that exceeded 40 knots. And so it helps you filter out. It's so much information when you first open the map with all of these hurricane tracks. And so it helps you look a little bit more closely at that layer, and can be really helpful when you're just doing some research or trying to understand better how these storms move through an area. But I was happy to make this map. I think it's helpful and something to continue to update as we continue with more projects in my company, that we can see how these storms influence the work that we do.